Tesla earnings tomorrow, and today, Elon Musk's authorized biographer, Walter Isaacson, who tailed Elon for a year or two, wrote an excellent biography, and is also extremely left-hearted and quite deranged in terms of his political stuff. More on that later. I don't think he's in any contact at all. If he is, it's very infrequent with Elon today, sharing his thoughts on Tesla, a more affordable vehicle, and autonomy.
So
good to see you, John.
You've written biographies of Ben Franklin and Henry Kissinger and Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, political power brokers, innovation power brokers. I could throw in Einstein, who in a way straddled the two. What's the significance of this moment when we have the innovators not just dabbling, but going full bore, in Elon's case, into politics?
Now, before Walter responds, I just want to refresh the memory of anyone who watches this channel regularly, and for those who don't. Somewhere around, let's call it October-ish of 2024, Walter appeared on a CNBS segment and used the term off-putting to describe Elon Musk's foray into politics. And Walter raised enough red flags about being a gigantic fucking pussy and or living in a thought bubble in which everybody knows that Elon bad if Orange Man bad, and Elon support Orange Man bad, then Elon must be bad. So I said, nah, something's not right here. So let me dig into this guy's background. And sure enough, if you recall, I literally found a map with voting preferences and found the guy lives in a fucking left-hearted bubble. Exposed. Started to make a little bit more sense. I pointed out at the time that why would you find it off-putting when somebody with strongly held opinions on how to make America great again and improve things with a huge brain? Why would you find it off-putting if he wants to help Americans? And the answer, of course, is if you live in a fucking thought bubble where everybody knows that Orange Man bad. Well, I was listening to a podcast today with Tucker Carlson and Matt Taibbi. You might recall from the Twitter files. Matt was one of the journalists, the key journalists actually, in sharing what was discovered in the Twitter files. And he mentioned something in passing with Tucker, and I thought, wait, what? Tell me more. So let's dig into this just a little tiny bit now, having laid this foundation. Oh, you thought we were talking about Tesla earnings and the Robotaxi coming soon. But trust me, stick with me, because when you hear people in the media talking about Elon and sharing their thoughts, context matters. So it's important to set the scene. So here's the clip from the podcast with Tucker and Matt. Timestamp around 1 hour, 22 minutes or so in, if anyone wants to follow along. Let's just hear what they had to say about Walter in particular.
No, it's just funny. Yeah. You remember Walter Pincus?
Yeah, Walter Isaacson. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is weird. The Aspen Institute, I mean, they played a very strange role in the whole censorship story, but yeah.
So what happens to you said the media as constituted is dead.
So I hear the name Walter Isaacson come up in relation to the, quote, Aspen Institute. Guess we'll have to do some digging. In relation to the coordinated censorship of a critically important story about a real actual laptop that actually existed and was already in the possession of the FBI just prior to the 2020 presidential election. The active suppression. And of course, Matt and Tucker not getting into too much detail about this other than to mention the name Walter Isaacson and his connection to the Aspen Institute and its active involvement in one of the most heinous acts of suppression of information to, wait for it, interfere in a presidential election in my lifetime. We've got to do some more digging. And dig we shall. Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger testify about the most shocking things they found in the Twitter files, including former FBI officials working with the Aspen Institute, corporate media and social media to pre-bunk the Hunter Biden laptop story. Wait, but isn't the Aspen Institute the same thing we heard mentioned in conjunction with Walter Isaacson? This Walter Isaacson? What shall we find here? He has been the president and CEO of the Aspen Institute, a, quote, non-partisan, sure, we believe you, policy studies organization based in Washington, D.C., and the chair and CEO of CNN and the editor of Time. So hang on. So previously the president and CEO of the Aspen Institute. Maybe we could hear exactly what was discussed about this supposed Aspen Institute during testimony regarding the Twitter files and the active suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story prior to the 2020 presidential election, which again, just for the record, the FBI had the fucking laptop in their possession and knew it was real and sat on it. And then an active coordinated campaign from non-partisan institutes like the Aspen Institute, big tech, social media, a coordinated campaign to suppress and censor this story and debunk it and discredit it as Russian disinformation occurred. What will we find here?
And other groups, including this Aspen Institute, participating in an effort to so-called pre-bunk the Hunter Biden laptop before it was ever published in the New York Post, and then to get it censored by Twitter in violation of Twitter's own terms of service.
Wait. So you're telling me that the Twitter files documented evidence that explicitly included the Aspen Institute being involved in the active pre-bunking, as in, hey guys, you're soon about to hear this total Russian disinformation that's totally not real. Make sure that you don't let anyone even talk about it because it's not real. Hang on, let's rewind a little bit. More context might help.
We didn't know whether it was against the law, but we certainly thought it was shocking enough to be in the public interest, and that for me was the most serious.
Yeah, for me, it was seeing the so-called former FBI officials within Twitter and working with and other groups, including this Aspen Institute, participating in an effort to so-called pre-bunk the Hunter Biden laptop before it was ever published in the New York Post, and then to get it censored by Twitter in violation of Twitter's own terms of service, whose internal staff had concluded that the New York Post tweet had not violated their terms of service, and they censored it anyway.
Mr. Schellenberg, I want to ask you further that revolving door between the FBI and Twitter, and I also want to ask about those third-party, essentially government proxies. You referenced the Aspen Institute. Can you delve deeper into both of those questions, both of those topics?
Sure. It was the former general counsel of the FBI, Jim Baker, and the former deputy director of the FBI had both taken jobs at Twitter. There were so many FBI people at Twitter that they had their own internal group and their own little crib sheet to describe the difference between the terms that they use at the FBI versus at Twitter.
CIA had it as well.
Yeah, CIA as well had their own little internal group. And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
The third-party proxies.
Oh, yeah. Well, then the Aspen Institute, this was the weirdest thing. We discovered that Aspen Institute had created a workshop that it was attended by basically all of the major media, including as well as all the major social media platforms, to basically pre-bunk in advance the Hunter Biden laptop, even though it had not been. There was no evidence that it existed outside of the fact that the FBI knew that they had it because they got it in December 2019. So to have the Aspen Institute trying to persuade people not to cover the Hunter Biden laptop story in August and September of 2020 was quite chilling and disturbing to see.
Okay, so just to be clear, the Twitter files exposed the fact that the Aspen Institute, former CEO and president of which has been Walter Isaacson, held a workshop at a time where zero people outside of the FBI who literally had the laptop itself even knew the laptop existed, apart from a computer repairs person. So how the fuck did they know, unless they were coordinating with the FBI, ahead of time to pre-bunk, as in tell people, hey, watch out, there's going to be this totally fake news thing about a fake laptop that really doesn't exist. So when you hear about this, please make sure that no one's allowed to talk about it and you discredit it and don't let people share links and rah, rah, rah. I mean, disturbing to say the least. Now, I don't want to put this all on Walter, right? I'm not saying that he personally had any involvement in any of this stuff. But having heard these comments from Matt Taibbi on the Tucker podcast today, I thought, oh shit, hang on a minute. Aspen Institute, let me do some digging. Because I thought maybe this might explain why Walter was so off-put by Elon Musk's involvement politically prior to Trump's successful election as the 47th president of the United States. I mean, at the time, if you guys remember, if you're regular viewers of the channel, you'll remember what happened. I saw some shit. He sounded like a fucking pussy. He sounded left-hearted. I'm like, something's wrong here. Let me go digging. And I, sure enough, discover that he lives in a fucking left-hearted thought bubble. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I understand. So we're on the Aspen Institute website. Utterly amazing to see their self-proclaimed non-partisan perspective. Oh, this is amazing. So, just to be clear, Walter Isaacson is a distinguished fellow of the Aspen Institute who claimed to be a non-partisan educational and policy studies institute based... Wait, hang on. Non-partisan educational and policy studies institute? Why would a non-partisan educational and policy studies institute be holding a workshop seemingly at the behest of the FBI to discredit a forthcoming revelation about a real physical object that actually existed? Why would they do that? I mean, firstly, it was real, certainly not non-partisan. It was extremely partisan. What does that have to do with educational and policy studies? I don't understand. I do actually understand, but if I say it, I'll probably disappear. So I'll pretend I don't understand. What a weird thing to happen. Now, Walter is not getting off the hook that easily. Here's the actual clip. Mid-October 2024 that I referenced previously, in which Walter claims to find Elon Musk's foray into politics off-putting. Just thought, now that we've seen a little bit of context and some background, these comments may make a little bit more sense. And yes, after this, we'll get back to the present moment and Walter's thoughts on Tesla earnings, the Robotaxi, and a more affordable vehicle.
People want him to be even louder and more, I guess, controversial. But there's other people that really, he's driving them, some of them crazy. And regardless of his accomplishments, they can judge him and disparage him totally based on appearing at a Butler rally with the candidate that they don't like or not their preferred candidate. He doesn't give a rat's patootie, I don't think, about what people say. Does he, Walter?
No. In fact, I wish he would give a little bit more of a care about what other people say. You and I are probably in different camps on this. I think that it would be really good if he would put down his Twitter feed for a while and not be as incendiary and divisive as he is politically. I think it's hurting Tesla car sales. I think it's distracting, as you say, from the sort of astonishing accomplishments of the past 2 weeks. But when you ask about Musk, most people say, oh, yeah, he jumped up and down at the Butler rally. I think all of that, I think that's ridiculous, but he doesn't really care. He's...
Boy, these comments really hit different. Some more context available, don't they? First of all, Walter, wishing that Elon Musk would care more about what other people think, aka be a gigantic fucking pussy. Come on, bro. The next level projection here. I'm a fucking pussy. I care so much about what people think, and I live in a thought bubble. Therefore, I would never say anything positive about Orange Man bad. And I wish Elon was a pussy like me, who would never say anything that might cause anyone to get butthurt either, because that would require courage, which I seem to lack. Therefore, I don't like seeing others display that very trait. The ridiculous narrative that it was hurting Tesla sales. We've been over this, right? In context, right? I was predicting ahead of time what would happen. Trump wins by a landslide, sweeps all the swing states, wins the popular vote. The majority of Americans support Trump as president, and Elon was backing him when it wasn't popular, wasn't easy, and took courage. The problem is the mainstream media leans heavily to the left. So the narrative you hear is, the three really butthurt, deranged people on the left hate Elon having political opinions, therefore destroying Tesla, and you don't see the narrative where Trump gets on stage in front of an audience that are chanting the guy's name, who are now new Tesla customers trying to support the mission and the cause, respecting the guy. In essence here, Walter would have preferred Elon not to endorse President Trump. The same Walter who was formerly CEO and president of the Aspen Institute that actively engaged in a massive conspiracy to suppress information about a real laptop. Now, just to be clear, I'm not implying the Aspen Institute knew this Hunter Biden laptop was real. In fact, they probably didn't. They probably just did what Big Daddy FBI told them to do. I better not disappear. What I'm saying is the FBI knew that the thing was real. But the FBI may have told the Aspen Institute, this is not real, please tell everyone else it's not real. If I didn't know any better, I might think that Walter would prefer that anyone who had a positive word to say about Orange Man bad, not say it. Weak and pathetic. Again, Walter's great in terms of writing biographies, but what an absolute fucking sausage wallet. And after that very long detour, it's back to the topic at hand. A lot's changed in the last few months, including the fact that, thanks in part to Elon Musk's strong endorsement of Orange Man bad and campaigning, Trump is now the 47th president of the United States. Probably not the outcome Walter was hoping for. In fact, obviously not the outcome Walter was hoping for. No doubt he would have preferred a cackling, retarded, a very competent, capable, strong, independent female president to tick lots of boxes. But that's not what he got. And now that Trump has swept every swing state, won the popular vote, an overwhelming, crushing victory showing that the majority of Americans actually support the current president, has Walter's tune changed at all? Is he going to backtrack a little bit, or does he still wish that Elon would have shut the fuck up about politics and still believe that Elon's destroying Tesla's sales by helping usher in a golden era in the United States with President Trump?
Not just Elon Musk, it's a whole bunch of tech bros, as you know, John. You know them all well. And suddenly they are sitting in the row in front of the Commerce Secretary and the rest of the cabinet as they come to Washington. Elon Musk is in Washington as we speak. Jeff Bezos has been there this week. They all want to be in front of the president. And when you have major revolutions happening technologically, especially AI, but also autonomy, space travel. It's interesting because the Steve Bannons and the Republican Trump part of the party were very populist and anti-big corporations. But Trump seems to have sided with Elon Musk and the other tech bros that are now wielding a lot of power in Washington.
There are a lot of Gilded Age comparisons being drawn, and if you think about the robber barons of that era and the influence that they necessarily had over government policy, is that a...
Bro, what? Just want to make sure everyone at home is aware of what we just heard. Classic tactic of the extremely left-hearted media. Just throw out a term in quick succession in reference to something else, and NPCs might think they're the same thing. You know what a robber baron is, right? This was a term in the 19th century to describe successful industrialists whose business practices were often considered ruthless or unethical. Okay? Robber baron equals bad. Now, this dipshit on CNBS, who obviously are part of the left-leaning media propaganda machine, has just thrown that term out as if to suggest that Elon Musk and others who wish to work with the Trump administration are bad. Unbelievable stuff. But this is how the media propaganda machine works. Now, if Walter has an ethical bone in his body, of course, he's going to go, oh, that's a bit far. Robber barons, I mean, come on, bro. Musk companies, they're doing a lot of good, even if I disagree with him politically. And that's a bit of a stretch. Don't be a fucking dick. Presumably, this is what's going to happen too. I don't think Walter's that far unhinged. But you got to understand, like, this is how the media distorts perceptions and creates narratives. Draw these comparisons. Tech bro is almost a derogatory term in and of itself. But now you got the comparisons with robber barons. You go, yo, bad people are all the bad people from business now gathering around Trump, who's also a bad person. In fact, he's the biggest bad after Elon, because Orange Man bad. We're only halfway into this segment. The title, Musk resisting budget Tesla model to go all in on autonomous driving. I guess that's in the second half of this clip. So far, hi Walter, Orange Man bad, Elon bad, Tech Bros bad. It's almost like they have an agenda.
A fair parallel?
Yeah, I think, John, you're right. I hadn't thought about it too much, but whether you look at J.P. Morgan or Harriman or others, especially in the 1890s to 1910, John D. Rockefeller, not only did they wield a lot of political power, but they made big corporations and to some extent monopolies. It was Teddy Roosevelt who comes in, a progressive Republican, and really helped stop the reign of the robber barons, especially with his trust-busting antitrust.
So we do have Tesla earnings tomorrow, Walter.
Yeah.
Kind of thought Walter would push back against that comparison with the robber barons, but apparently not. Wow. Now, to be completely fair, the context of that question was independent of the way it was framed. What I mean is throwing out robber baron equals bad, 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 just to plant the seed. The question that was asked directly, though, was if there was any similarities between the bad, 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 robber baron, bad, bad, and their influence politically. You could say, okay, yeah, there's certainly potentially some similarities there between the bad, bad, bad and the influence that the bad robber barons had politically and the current influence. But surely this was an opportunity for Walter to push back on the use of the terminology robber barons, right?
And we do know that Musk already was stretched across a number of companies, not just Tesla, before his political ambitions burst into the forefront. So what does this mean in terms of resources and where he's dedicating his attention? So
before Walter answers, the obvious answer is, bro, the guy can do a million things at once. In fact, he can't not do a million things at once. He'll go fucking crazy. His default mode of operation is having so much shit on his back that it's almost at breaking point, but not quite. And as soon as he finds a tiny bit of relief, he loads up again. But the narrative, of course, from the media is, oh, Elon's distracted now. He's not doing 20 things, he's doing 21 things, and that 21st thing is the thing that's going to break him. Obviously, Tesla distracted, Elon bad. But Walter knows Elon well enough to know that he actually thrives in this kind of chaos. So at least here, he's going to have a reasonable response. Surely, I mean, I'm going to bet the farm on this one. I was wrong with the robber barons thing, okay, well, learn something there, but he's definitely going to push back on this. He's going, no. Elon thrives doing all these things at once. He does it, no one else could, but he can. Not a problem. He won't be distracted. Right, Walter? That's what we're going to say, right?
Well, clearly he's dedicating his attention to Washington now. Morgan, it'll be kind of interesting to see, is he on the earnings call? He usually is, not always, on such earnings calls. And I think maybe with all the questions about are you still tending to Tesla, it probably might be a smart idea to be on the earnings call. The big thing for Tesla, in my mind, is they have developed Robotaxi, self-driving, car, autonomous vehicles that aren't quite ready, and they're not quite ready, especially in terms of regulations. But with Musk being in Washington, it might pave the way, no pun intended, for more autonomous vehicle, less regulation of it. And whether or not he's going to do the $25,000 inexpensive car that Tesla's been talking about, which isn't a robotaxi. It does have a steering wheel and brakes. He's been resisting that because he wants to go all in for autonomy.
Tesla obviously going all in on autonomy. Interestingly, though, as I've been predicting, everyone seems to have forgotten about the more affordable vehicles coming in the first half of this year. Probably not a $25,000 starting price, but implementing many of the learnings from the fully modular manufacturing system, as Tesla call it, the unboxed manufacturing system, which will be used to produce the dedicated Cybercab, some of those learnings being implemented in these new, more affordable vehicles. And the reason for this, as opposed to going full unboxed system, is Tesla can retool, adjust, and tinker with their existing facilities and production lines and increase their annual volume from around 1.8 or so million to 3 million vehicles per year with very little capital expenditure. With sky-high interest rates and difficulty for consumers to afford new vehicles, this makes a lot of sense. But, like I said, as predicted, everyone seems to have forgotten about these new vehicles. Bro, it's the first half of 2025 as I'm recording this, and they're ending production this half of the year. Tesla's not more affordable vehicles, the existing Model 3 and Model Y absolutely dominating. Model Y, the world's best-selling vehicle of any kind, period. Just imagine what happens when more affordable versions, almost certain there's going to be an SUV and a sedan on this more affordable platform. Today, most people can't afford a Model Y. They'd like one though. If you can shave 10 or 15% off the purchase price of a comparable vehicle, bro, we could be talking this thing alone selling 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 million units per year or even more over the long term. By the way, guys, if you haven't already read Walter's biography of Elon Musk, I highly recommend it. Although so much has happened since, Walter probably has enough material for another book. The question is, will he be invited back to tail Elon Musk again for a part 2 after exposing his extreme political biases and, I will say it, his overwhelming cowardice? Imagine not wanting Elon Musk to share his strongly held beliefs or get involved politically. What a fucking sausage wallet. What I personally find off-putting is cowards wanting those demonstrating courage to stop doing so the cowards feel better about themselves. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients. Plus, has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR, or I can keep going. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.